Good afternoon, Landovians. Good afternoon, Cabinet Secretaries, Members of Congress, Vice President Jefferson, House Speaker Robinson, and to all. It is with great honor that I meet you all today for our State of the Nation. Our Cabinet members have been doing these kinds of meetings for a long time, and we are now beginning to coincide with our agenda for today's event. I have been grateful to tell you all that we have extended our relationships with the United States in regards to our celebration of Commemoration Day as well as their independence last July 4th. I spoke with the United States State Secretary Antony Blinken, who afterward had the G20 summit in Bali, Indonesia. It was with great efforts to sustain our bilateral relations and our foreign policies with the United States. In regards to that, our diplomats here in the country will be having a multitude of talks on stabilizing our economy and defense treaties. It was again with great honor to have with the Biden administration to come up with greater prosperity in this nation despite the fact that we're also having sequences of predicaments. I now go ahead with our military status in this country. I vow to expand our military alliances as well as our armed forces to better utilize and develop capabilities and expenditures on the remaining improvements of the sector. As treatment for our incapabilities, we had talks with our Armed Forces Joint Chief of Staff, our Defense Secretary, and several other cabinet members to provide ways how to maximize our military capabilities. It is worthwhile to note that military spending is inevitable on our national budget. We truly minimize and allocated a few of the spending towards our armed forces. Likewise, for the better improvement of this sector, we should provide a 2-year plan for the improvements and renovation of our different service branches. Some of our acts and executive orders contribute to the budgeting of some service branches. Our Defense Secretary has told the Navy and the Air Force are remnants of the post-occupation by the United States and thus need to act upon. As recommended by our Defense Secretary and several cabinet members, our Congress will have another meeting with regards to planning out projects enacted for the Navy and Air Force. Military spending will not be included for the purchasing of arms and armed vehicles rather than to enhance wages, returns, and maintenance facilities for our soldiers. Moreover, the meeting held by our cabinet members would like to have the future structuralism of committing Landova to a prosperous country. What the people have said was that transportation to other countries was a huge issue despite the fact cruise ships and seaplanes are the only mode of transportation in and out of Landova. The regional government of the Azores in Portugal has called out on us to face the movement of people in which the Azores cannot handle the rate of people entering and leaving the islands. I have been going in and out of Landova through ferries along the cold Atlantic shores. We have always ended up as our entry point in Ponta Delgada. Our country cannot handle international travel as much as other countries would. Therefore, we have decided to mark a 1-year project on making the first ever international airport in this country. Tourism has grown enough that we could handle and we ought to expand this. It would be the biggest project our country has made. An airport like this would also support our air forces, which will also act as our first airbase. But in regards to that, the location of the airport is strictly debated by our members here and there. What most agreed on was to build it after the establishment of the district of Sprosk Bayside in Picot City. A tall suspension bridge then will be built over Antoridian Bay and there we will hold grounds for the establishment of the airport. For now, this will be our plan and huge financial expenditures are needed for this airport project. In atonement for this degraded spending, we would be having a new revision on this country for the better all progressing prosperity. Moving on, our nation had substantially suffered from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and onto the ongoing war on Ukraine. We would like to reiterate that we are not suffering from inflation or economic recession. We do still have our necessary necessities and basic goods to sustain our country. Our local producers and suppliers have deeply consulted us on their produce and wages on behalf of the ongoing scenarios. Our Commerce and Industry Secretary have called it the brink of commercial fallout, whereas we are on the brink or the edge that we may see a fallout in our commercial sector if we don't turn up our pending problems. Along with that, crude oil and gas prices will soar high in the next few weeks, brought by high imposed import costs and tariffs. Our government can't control these high costs, yet we would recommend proper usage of transportation and promoting the use of eco-friendly vehicles such as bicycles, public transportation, and smart cars. We would try to heighten corporate income taxes on this sector. Nonetheless, it won't suppress this issue. Moreover, in the COVID-19 situation of Landova, we are almost to a year being COVID-19 free, which I'm delighted and glad that we can achieve. The COVID-19 vaccination process enacted by our previous Health Secretary and our former President Joe Limson shall continue. Booster shots will now be administered to the public sector. The general population ages 5 and above can now be vaccinated for the primary recommended doses of the vaccine. Booster shots in accordance with the vaccination process will be then followed. Our dearest doctors and people in the medical field have done much, and we have been thankful for them. Moving on, once again. I have been disappointed once again with our infrastructure projects taking excruciating long to accomplish. I had several talks with our contractors, our Architecture and Infrastructure Secretary, and our Urban Planning and Development Secretary on the prolonged construction of these projects. I found out that we're severely lacking workers, and most of them cannot do this on their own. And also I found that contractors have been dismantling contracts on the said projects, on which I have contended the irregularities and incompetence of the companies and contractors we had already dealt with. I am calling out again to these individuals to do their job promptly and as soon as possible to finish all the remaining construction. I am now expecting completion of these projects such as the road tarring and Lingis projects to be done by November. I am expecting the Tokisha District project, Lingis Line Transit project, and the Lubhart Village renovation project to be started next week onwards and be completed by the end of the year. If there would be issues, our government can support you as long we establish an agreement on these terms that our secretaries can file. In regards to the infrastructure projects, after the rejection of the proposed two-door nuclear power plant, we will be initiating the plan for a proposed hydroelectric power plant and dam facility in Antarudian Bay. Landova is still committed to the use of renewable energy for a greener planet. As of now, our power consumption relies mostly upon our mini hydroelectric facility in the district of Redstone 1 in Old Marza village along the terrestrial estuary. Some of our power consumption then relied on solar photovoltaic cells distributed in HVAC systems on rooftops. As our country develops even faster, we need a faster rate of needing the available resources for power and energy. This is a long-term plan, yet we are now planning for possible projects. Henceforth, moving forward, I with my secretary and some other cabinet members will be seeking opportunities in foreign policies and relations. We will be having an official visit to the following countries in chronological order: Luxembourg, Switzerland, Croatia, and Slovenia. Our visits to these countries are scheduled to be on the 3rd and 4th week of July. This is an opportunity for these countries to extend foreign policies and bilateral relations with the European allies. As I end my State of the Nation address, I would like to commend our people, our nation, that we are truly prosperous and found better chances to grow more as a nation. Thank you, Landovians, and good afternoon.